Every single day, we work hard to provide meals to those in need. In our community, too many people face hunger and uncertainty, but you have the power to change that. Your generosity can transform lives. Provide a meal, be the hope.
Good morning, world, and thank you. I have Chris Murphy. Chris, thank you for being on the podcast this week as we're going to solve the world's
You can get
problems.
me out with a cup of Lente coffee. This is the best, man. I've been following this project since you started it. This
Yes.
is one of the coolest things that's happened in our community, I'll tell you. And that's why it's so fun to come on. Is like the mission creates good programs,
Yeah.
they get stuff done, and it works. And
Terrific.
so, I mean,
Yeah.
I've always been excited about this, and want to see. I'm glad to see it, proliferate and expand
Yeah, no,
and put
absolutely.
people to work, and
Yeah.
make connect people with the community
Yeah,
again.
awesome, Chris. Really appreciate it. I
Oh, one
mean,
more sip.
yeah, we started Valente and not realizing that when you start a social enterprise, you start a business
Right?
and then it takes work and and it's just been amazing to watch it flow and
Yeah.
progress and see the community support it too in ways that I'm amazed at the businesses like Bake Shop that has supported Valente from the ground up. So super excited. Chris, you've spent decades in Modesto and you spent decades in, business. Why have you continued investing your time, talent, and energy for Modesto?
I think I really came back with this. I have a new lens when I came back to Modesto. And I think what a lot of people do, I went away for a
Oh,
while.
did you?
Yeah. So I graduated from high school and college. My wife and I moved to Seattle.
Okay.
I was in the cycling industry. And so we lived in Seattle for 6 years, had our
Okay.
first daughter, Madison.
Okay.
Then I was in the cycling industry in Morgan Hill in the Bay Area. And then I came back in 96 for our family business, which is
Okay.
warehousing and logistics, Sierra Pacific. And I came back with a different set of eyes because
Okay.
I was one of those kids that couldn't wait to leave. I mean,
Yeah.
I go record shopping in Berkeley after school. I mean,
Got
it
it.
was like, how do I get out of here? How do I become an ad agency exec in the city,
So sort of
right?
like graffiti,
Yeah,
American graffiti all over.
yeah, it really is. And it's funny how those graffiti themes, whether it's whether it's Luke trying to get out of
Yeah.
Tatooine,
Uh-huh.
or Kurt trying to get out of Modesto,
Yeah.
or Indiana Jones trying to escape, all these themes come through in the Lucas films, which is kind of interesting. But when I came back, there was just so much trash talk about
Yeah.
Modesto. And my friends were like going, "You're insane." And I get
Yeah.
back, and then we have the monster flood of 96, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And then my friends are going, "Really? Your town's on CNN for this?" So, and I kind of came back and said, "Wow, this is really kind of a negative space." And
Yeah.
I discovered like Cafe Diva downtown. I saw what's going on downtown. The city manager, Ed Tweez, lived around the corner from me. And I just decided, look, we need a counter narrative. I got involved with the Chamber of Commerce and
Okay.
got involved with those things. But the issues haven't changed.
Yeah.
The negativism hasn't gone away. So no matter what we do, there's still more to do, right?
Yeah.
And so, for my company, I want my company to be a place when my customers come to visit or my employees, I want them to want to dig where they live.
Yeah.
It's really important.
Yeah.
And then, with your kids, the thing you want as a parent is how do you get your kids to want to return to where they grew up?
Yeah.
And so by creating a positive environment where they felt comfortable getting involved, it basically led to that.
Yeah.
So I think it's all of our jobs.
Yeah.
It's not whether you're a parent, you don't get involved with the community, just say you live out in Village One and you have a day-to-day work thing. It's like you can change the dialogue easily, if you want to.
Yeah.
And so that's what we want to. And so
Yeah.
we just try to make, that's why I started Modesto View back in
Yeah.
1998 with a couple of friends. It's like get a new view of the way you look at stuff. And I think everyone needs that shake up every once in a while.
Yeah.
You got to take a break. Even at work, you have a problem that's vexing you, right?
Yeah.
Just take a break, come back and come back with fresh
Yeah,
eyes.
no, that's amazing. I mean, we look at Modesto, born and raised in Modesto. So I grew up here most of my life on two different sides of the
Right.
equation. Consumer, meaning I was just consuming the community, and then on the other side of giving back. In your 3 decades of being back, close to 3 decades of
Yeah.
being back, what have you what's improved and what has regressed in those 3 decades in Modesto? We'll just say that from your eyes, your perspective.
I think Modesto's secret sauce is volunteerism. I
Mm,
don't know of any Modesto's kind of an enigma. I mean, in a really good way. We're big enough where we have all the needs and the services of a larger city,
Yeah.
right? But we're small enough where people like you
Hmm.
can move the knob,
Yeah.
and people like Reggie Rucker when he was
Yeah.
here, and
Uh-huh.
and the people that get involved, and the Chris Guptills of the 9 to 99,
Yeah.
Darren
Yeah. Yeah.
Jesbergs. There's so many people out there who get involved that make a difference. Kate trumpeters, and things like you can get in and actually see them move the knob
Yeah.
and see the action happen in the community. I think that's what has continues to exist.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what continues to drive me is
Yeah.
that you could be really fatalist about it and say, man, we've been doing the same thing for 10 years,
Yep.
but there's always something different. And I think what hasn't changed and improved is volunteerism. And I
Yeah.
really think that's the key to really getting people on the same path. But the challenge is how do we focus volunteerism in ways that truly move the community forward?
Yeah.
You don't want to be a
Yeah.
washing machine where you just keep on washing, right? You want
Yeah.
to have something where you
Yeah.
take it out, fold, and
Yeah. Absolutely.
and so I think that's the challenge where I think it's becoming increasingly difficult to have, a specific outcome, but the volunteerism continues to improve. And I think people just lead with excitement. You have to
Yeah.
lead with a vision, you have to lead with something, hey, let's do this, let's make some magic. And I think people really want a positive direction.
Yeah.
And I think what's what needs to improve is we have vision. This city has visioned itself to death. If I hear we're gonna have a visioning seminar one more time, I'm just gonna go,
Strategic plan, 3 to 5 year.
oh, geez,
Yeah.
we know what we have to do,
Yeah.
Jason. I
Yeah.
mean, we know we need downtown
Yeah.
housing. We need a train station downtown. We need safer streets. We need well-lit sidewalks. I mean, this is 101.
Yeah.
And I think that's where we need to improve.
Yeah.
Is like we know what to do,
Let's talk
you
about
know?
let's talk about the housing,
Yeah.
let's talk about housing in general. So, Chris, when I was growing up and I grew up in Riverbank and Ceres and Modesto, and there was housing in the late 90s, 96, 97 at that point. And I remember my parents, my mom and dad, they actually managed an apartment complex on Roding Road in Ceres, Vintage Court
Yeah.
Apartments. Okay. And it was 114 units. My mom, she would have to have move-in specials at that point. So this is in the valley, move-in special, and they were like seven, 4.99,
Free rent or whatever. Yeah.
and then you look at today's housing economy and like how have you seen it from like a Loloma, from a house setting that's changed over the course of like 3 decades, 30 years?
Yeah, I mean, I look at when I moved here in first grade. I was born in Yosemite, actually. My
Okay.
parents worked for the National Park Service, so
Okay.
I moved here in 1968, and the population of Modesto was, I think, about 68,000 people, and our
Yeah.
house was $15,000 or
Yeah.
whatever
Yeah.
it was,
Yeah.
right? And that made it possible
Yeah.
for a family like us we didn't have any money,
Yeah.
and so and going out for like Mr. Steak was a big deal for us back
Yeah.
then in the late 60s, early
Yeah.
70s,
Yeah.
and that I think that's probably the single biggest issue
Yeah.
that not Modesto faces, but globally, it's like, how do you, if I were a super tech billionaire or
Uh-huh.
whatever, I would offer the global challenges. How do you build $175,000 house that
Yeah.
works for a
Yeah.
family?
Yeah.
What does it take? Is it prefab? Is it incentives for the land? Is it, communities get a grant for the streets and sewers? I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think that ability to have a home that's your own place
Yeah.
it seems like it's one of those mirages on the highways
Yeah.
right now where it keeps on getting further away the more you try. And we have a lot of employees that really have it stretched to make it.
Yeah.
It's like, and I think that it's a common thing. So I think with what you're doing with the care gardens
Uh-huh.
here
Yeah.
and
Uh-huh.
the women's
Yeah.
Hannah's place
Yeah.
across the
Yeah.
street, those are just amazing starts because I think the housing takes the fear out
Yeah.
of them. You're so much closer to this, but I see
Yeah.
the people that I encounter that are unhoused.
Yeah.
There's a fear there of where do I go and how do I fit in?
Yeah.
And I think everyone feels that way. Whether like my grandson's starting school today, first day
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
as a first grader,
Yep.
and I know he's fearful. But what am I going into? Am I going to be welcomed? Is it?
Yeah.
And I think that care of welcoming is key. Creating some element of stair steps and
Yeah.
affordability is key. And having an average household price of 600K
That is
is unsustainable,
that is
you know?
crazy if you think about the cost for a house, like, and how much and quickly that jumps. So when I purchased my house, I own a house. I purchased it in 2018, Chris. and I purchased my house for 200,000, and I live off of Sunrise,
Hmm.
in Edison. So it's not in a bad area. And then all of a sudden, just when I look at the price of my house now, it's like, what in the $500,000 in Modesto just
Yeah.
and then it just
And you probably have a 2.1% mortgage that you can get for.
3%.
Yeah.
Like I gotta,
It's like,
I'm not moving away from
yeah.
that. So there is no movement of how, because a lot of individuals, when we look at that 3%
Mhm.
or even lower, we're not touching that.
Yeah. And I think what you see examples of, and I've just noticed it downtown on Bean
Uh-huh.
Street, and the
Yeah.
infill is so key.
Yeah.
We need to work on infill. Our city needs to get a much better handle on multifamily dwellings.
Yeah.
Nice looking multifamily. It
Yeah.
doesn't have to be a row of doors.
Yeah.
That's you can do something. There's more creative. And if you go somewhere else, these other cities, you see the creative ways people have approached large scale
Yeah.
housing project. I
Yeah.
think the key thing for me and that's missing in downtown is housing.
Yeah.
We talk about what's the silver bullet.
Yeah.
Having housing in downtown Modesto turns Modesto into a 24-hour experience.
Yeah.
Right now, it's people go to work, they go to dinner, they go to movie, they go
Mhm.
home.
Yeah.
And at night, it's empty.
It's empty.
And I think housing fundamentally is the thing that will transform Modesto the most in downtown. When you have people living there, they need a laundry, they need a grocery store, all
Yeah.
those services that come along with that.
Yeah.
And that lifts the neighborhood. It's like when your neighborhood, when you start seeing cafes and restaurant pop up
Yeah.
in these neighborhoods, I think that's a sign of health
Yeah.
because people are saying, I'm going to take a risk. I'm going to open this. It might not be the best neighborhood, but I know this neighborhood and these are my people
Yeah.
and I can open a restaurant. You see the Saffron Cafe is
Yeah.
trying to start up here on Loma.
Yeah.
Drive past it
Oh,
every
yeah.
day and wow, somebody did something. It's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
great.
Yeah, taking a chance in business. Let me ask you, I mean, you're kind of a history guy, right?
Mhm.
Like in downtown Modesto, was there housing at one point in those old
Yeah,
buildings?
there was a lot of
That's what
housing.
I thought.
And you see parts of town like the F, the E, D, E, F, like 13, 14, 15,
Yeah.
16, 17. You
Uh-huh.
see these pockets on the
Yeah.
other side over by the MID and
Uh-huh.
Camp 4
Okay.
over there. There are pockets of housing.
Yeah.
But two things have to happen.
Yeah.
We need the ACE train that connects our community
Okay.
to like an airport. And then second, you have housing. So
Yeah.
if you had transportation at our
Yeah.
train
Uh-huh.
station, which means accessibility for everybody,
Yeah.
and then you have housing downtown, then you start to create a spark. And then I think you start encouraging people to start coming back this way.
Yeah.
Because big high density cities, well, that's not who we are. It's not where we're going to be,
Yeah.
right? But there's a lot we can do. And then, just, encourage I'm sure it's a tax and regulatory thing
Yeah.
and that's got to come from the state. I think the
Yeah.
state needs to say, look, we're going to focus on sub $300 $1,000 housing
Yeah.
and find a way to make it happen. there's
Yeah.
a there's a lot of
Well,
ways to
there's
do that.
building
Yeah,
regulations too that's really suppress, builders coming into the community too when you really unpack that. So
yeah,
like all these different things for a developer to come in and profit and all the regulations that
yeah.
they have to do, it needs to be reformed, so to speak. So
Correct.
there could be affordable
But you
housing.
can reform with specific goals in mind. It just doesn't have to be a free for all. It says
Yeah.
everyone can do what they want.
Yeah.
That's not what we're saying. But I say
Yeah.
we have an issue with this economic bracket that
Yep.
we have to fix, and we're going to create some variances so this can happen. That's the kind of thinking. I'd like to see some big thinking like that, where it happens like that. So, and then it's also we build around neighborhoods.
Yeah.
The Loma neighborhood has a cool vibe to it. The Lakewood neighborhood, College neighborhood, and as these neighborhoods, I love National Night Out
Yeah.
just because our band played it, and it's so great to see the people in the neighborhood come out and just hang out, listen to some music, hang out with the PD, hang out with the
Yeah.
fire. City council people come out, and it really is key for people need to gather,
Yeah.
number one,
Yeah.
and that's the post-pandemic recovery that still isn't there because I think people developed a lot of bad habits,
Yeah.
being indoors and not leaving,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that needs to happen because when you socialize, good ideas come through. Let's do this. Let's go here. Let's make this happen. And that's what I try to encourage. That's why I start in Modesto View. It's like get out and do something. Here are 30 things. They're not all ticketed. Some are free. You can
Yeah.
go do this. You can walk here. You can, just something. You don't need to sit there, like this. Go to restaurants and see people like this.
Yeah.
You're on a date. It's like go home, leave. Why are you
Yeah,
here?
yeah. I mean, we're created to be in community, and that's what
Yeah,
you're saying is we're created to be in community, and we fashioned our behavior around seclusion, where we're
right.
inside with social media. These devices have become a handcuffed to do what we're, and then from that we have mental health issues that really
Yeah,
surface up. So all of that stuff with Chris is, it's about community and Modesto View, like one of the favorite, and it's not just because Chris is here. Like everybody gets a Modesto View in the city of Modesto. If you open it up, I would always take, like, most of this, I recycle my I would say I sort my mail in the trash. That one I always would put on my desk. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna check it out. And when you open it up, it's just like things to do in Modesto, like all these different things. History. I know Harrison does like a
yeah,
piece,
yeah.
your son-in-law, and it's just a really great opportunity.
To learn about the city, and
Yeah.
I think everyone craves some sort of authenticity. I mean, the phone is just a device to avoid eye contact.
Yeah.
You know, you sit and people like go take BART in the city. It's like, and plus you're being fed the doom scrolling is
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
dangerous, and so we're being fed this stuff all the time. And I think that, the idea of getting to know your authenticity, and I think people need to have a sense of pride in where they live.
Mm.
And and Modesto is really, really lucky. And when I came back, I was just shocked. Like, or the word graffiti and cruising was like Voldemort
Yeah.
when I
Yeah.
moved back. Oh, we can't talk about graffiti because we
That's
had that one thing back in 1993. And it's like, are you kidding me? The global awareness of
uh-huh.
Modesto, California, and a graffiti
Yeah.
has been built by somebody else's billions.
Yeah.
So we need to take advantage of it. So
Yeah.
that's what I locked in on.
Yeah.
Let's give us something to cheer about, right? It's the cruise, it's the cars, it's the classic, it's the rock and roll, it's all of those things that graffiti means. And I get a bunch of some of the people go, not everyone likes classic cars. No, you don't have to
Yeah.
have a classic car. I'm helping build a graffiti museum,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I don't have a classic
Yeah.
car. I have some
Yeah.
old guitars, but I love what that means. The chrome, the art, the music, the vibe. It's something that everyone's rockabilly or 50s or classic rock or the 70s when I was cruising, leaving Gemco from work back in the day, right? I think there's something there for everybody. And then what happens is you see a cross pollination, like Dave Heller came to town, another example of a
Yeah.
big thinker.
Yeah.
Comes to town, flow riders, all that stuff.
Yeah.
But he's the Modesto Roadsters now.
Yeah.
So they've embraced the graffiti culture in
Got it.
sport. So
Yeah.
here we have the graffiti culture here, the cool stuff, the rock and roll and everything. We have now the Roadsters. So people that go to baseball get the
Yeah.
cruiser, the stuff
Yeah.
and everything. So all of a sudden that starts to build up a vibe
Yeah.
about when people say Modesto, they're not thinking of the big three, bad news stories that are
Yeah.
out there.
No, I mean,
And that's the
yeah.
challenge. And
Yeah.
and I get it. I travel a lot and I see a lot of the world, and I'm fortunate for that I
Yeah.
can. But for work, I'll go to a conference in
Uh-huh.
Chicago. Hi, this is Chris Murphy, Sierra Pacific. We are warehousing logistics in Central California, Modesto. And they go, yeah, that's where that,
Yeah.
and you know where they're going, right?
Uh-huh.
And I go, that's right. That's where George Lucas is from.
Yeah.
They go, whoa, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, he went to Downey High
Yeah.
School. He wrote
Downey.
Star Wars here in Modesto. American Graffiti is about our town. It is a 1 second game changer
Yeah.
for anybody who wants to talk about our town.
Yeah.
And I use it.
Yeah.
I
No,
use it as a
absolutely.
business cachet because when
Yeah.
I go back and meet, I go, yeah, you're the guy from Modesto where graffiti is. That's
Yeah.
right. And then they
Yeah.
come to town and they see it. It's all of what you make it. You don't have to go home and wear leather jackets and jeans and,
Yeah.
grease your hair back, but it's like you live in a cool place. And I think that's the authenticity because it's legit.
Yeah.
It is our history. The Gallo family built the biggest winery here in the world,
Yeah.
here in our
Yeah.
town. You got Tim Oliphant, you got Jeremy Renner. All these people came from here. And why? Because we had a great performing arts scene. So what does that tell you? The culture, having the culture of this authenticity, was creating a performing arts culture environment. Those two things go hand in hand,
Yeah.
and that becomes an export.
Yeah.
At the same time, it becomes an import because it makes us interesting for visitors.
Yeah.
When people come to town, over 38 people from 38 countries have visited the Graffiti USA Museum already. It's not even open. It's under construction. We're open through construction. And that many visitors come to see that from all over the world.
Yeah, you sparked a thing. We are centrally located
Yeah,
in Modesto. So like if you're from Modesto, like you can be anywhere in a couple hours. I think we need to tap into that.
100%.
So there is, and believe it or this is crazy. So in my little cul-de-sac where I live, there's this house on the corner that Airbnb's out. Okay. When he first started it, I was like, there is no way somebody's going to be renting out this house in my neighborhood for an Airbnb. And I'll tell you what, every single night, there's a person there, and guess where they're going? Yosemite.
Right.
They're staying here, and, like, we have to tap into that messaging.
Exactly, and that's one of the things because people know where Modesto is. Yeah, I
Yeah,
go, well, I was in Rancho Cucamonga one. Okay, you're off by 300 miles, no biggie,
it
right? It's like I basically say you draw a line from
yes,
San
right in
Francisco
the
to
middle.
Yosemite. We're right there. We actually have a graphic we made that's
Yeah,
as SFO, YOS,
uh-huh,
and MOD.
yeah,
So it's a straight shot. And Todd at Visit Modesto has just done a fantastic job of branding this community,
yeah.
with almond blossom festivals.
Oh, yeah,
6 years ago, this almond blossom was going
uh-huh,
on for decades
yeah,
and no one cared. But now it's the almond blossom cruise, and we have tour buses with cocktail drives and people serving stuff and weddings in the almond blossoms. He created something out of a natural
yeah,
phenomenon, and people come to see that. We're one of the top three. The New York Times said Washington, D.C. cherry blossoms,
yeah,
then Osaka cherry blossoms,
yeah,
and then Modesto's almond blossoms are like some of the top three natural things you need to see. That's the kind of press we want. So when Google's Modesto, we want to see almond blossoms, graffiti, rock and roll, Jeremy Renner, Tim Oliphant, Gala Center, State Theater. I mean,
yeah,
that's what we should see. And then we should start seeing, all right, cost of living, affordability. Wow, I have all of this. I have all of this. And now, wow, if we had a housing drive, we could affordability,
yeah,
which allows the people who are not housed the ability to become part of all this,
yeah,
and it all connects. And I don't think you can disconnect the chain in any way.
yeah,
You need all of that excitement
yeah,
going here, right, at the same time you're working here, and it creates some kind of aspirational thing that everyone, there's a piece of it, like
yeah,
the coffee shop. Valente now
mhm,
is a real coffee company,
yeah,
the
yeah,
10th Street plot,
no,
10th Street Place
yep,
building. And so Valente now has become part of the culture,
yeah,
and
yeah,
HopeWorks
yeah.
is part of the. I mean, I think HopeWorks
It is one of the coolest
it,
programs that
it
I started, yep.
it is phenomenal, and
Yeah,
you see it. You
yeah,
drive down the road and you see people cleaning up,
yeah.
and then you drive back the next day, and man, that looks good. You see that this area was cleaned up by HopeWorks. That's an example of something that
Chris, we
works and impacts everybody.
Chris, we got a call from Fox News National.
Wow,
And we are the only program that does something like this in the nation. They were thinking about doing an article, and they might in the future, but a Fox News
they should.
and it was through a Fox 40 affiliate that they caught the messaging on Hope Works, and they contacted us because they were looking throughout all the communities and they couldn't find a work-based employment step that's paying a minimum wage to beautify their city. And so like it's game changer.
It is.
And it's like and it's actionable where people are seeing it work and they're seeing that hand up and not a hand out.
And you can see where you invest this amount of dollars, you get a van and a trailer. Okay, you invest this amount of dollars, you have two more work teams. You
Yes.
have this much dollars, you're going to have 30% more area cleaned. And I mean, that's one of the magic things about Paris, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You wake up every morning in Paris and it's clean.
Yeah.
The sidewalks are all washed down, and that's Paris Marie.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing.
Yeah.
There is these people, their jobs are to clean this city. So in the morning when it wakes up, people get up and people feel good about it. I think there's nothing like it when you're walking down the farmer's market or walking downtown and you kind of look, wow, this place looks pretty great. I'm not seeing a
Yeah.
lot of litter. I'm driving down Briggsmore. Wow, there's not a bunch of chairs sitting on the side of the yard. It's a chip, right?
Yeah.
And we start chipping away at that negativism, and then just our goal now is how do we just encourage more people to do it? How
Yeah.
do we keep it sustainable?
Yeah.
How do you keep the funding from whether it's Caltrans for blight
Yep.
reduction?
Mhm.
All of these things are key for sustainability. And I mean, I like things that move the needle, and I like stuff. Here's a project. Let's do it. Like we've been talking about lighting up downtown 10th Street for years.
Okay.
Todd and Brian Genie
Yeah.
and Brad Hahn got together and
Yeah.
designed a really cool intersection to attract people to downtown,
Yeah.
right? 4 years later, we're gonna get it done this year, I think. I mean, you actually see the construction now, so I'm optimistic. But those are the things where you need to go, good idea, great idea. Can we make it affordable? Let's do it and get it done. All right, next. Good idea. Good idea. That makes sense. Courthouse renovation. We need another hotel down. I mean, all those things need to be, let's get it done. You
Yeah.
know,
It's being able to have decisions and making
and that's
decisions.
kind of why we did the Rock and Holiday. I mean, we decided that we're going to be the first city that has a May the 4th proclamation.
Yeah.
Here we
Okay,
are,
yeah.
home of Star Wars, right? So we are the home of Star Wars. So we got that done through the city council. And then, about 20 years ago, Kate Trumpeter and Thomas at Fusio cooked up the music in the plaza
Yeah.
idea. And then now for the last 12, 13 years, we've been running it, bringing local bands in to
Yeah.
downtown. Why? To get people to go.
Yeah.
People come down and go, "Wow, I had no idea 10th Street was so cool. Check it
Yeah.
out. I got the Brendan, I got the Fusio." And then we did Rock and Holiday because the city discontinued the Christmas tree.
Got
It
it.
was like, do you not? So Brian Genie and I said, let's okay, well let's do something.
Yeah.
And we created Rock and Holiday to create rock and create
Yeah.
classic holidays that's tied in with the
Uh-huh.
spirit of giving
Yeah.
that you're involved with for
Uh-huh.
the food drive. So
Yeah.
you have this festive thing
Yeah.
downtown, and it's just a couple of us that said, hey,
Yeah.
let's do this together. And the thing that I like about the city of Modesto is getting permission is about the same as getting funding
Yeah.
because they went, great, good idea. Reputable company. We
Uh-huh.
can trust you guys hanging this stuff over the street. All right, let's create
Yeah.
something fun for kids that's free. May the 4th, free. Music in the Plaza,
Yep.
free. Rock and Holiday, free. Because people can't, there are people who just can't do it. They want
Yeah.
something, they need to go get pictures with their kids for
Yeah.
Santa Claus,
Yep.
and it needs to be free.
Yeah.
And free has sponsorship,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Hopework has sponsorship,
Yeah.
and the Gospel Mission has
Yeah.
sponsorship and donors.
Yeah.
And that kind of gets us to the next subject of what do we really need
Yeah.
in Modesto?
Yeah.
We need corporate headquarters
Yeah.
here.
Okay.
We need companies that are owned and operated here, that have home bases here where there's admin, because I think that's one of the biggest risks looking forward is, where is the philanthropy coming from?
Yeah.
We all go to the same events, you
Yeah.
see the same people. How do we enlarge that pool of people who have the ability to donate and support local nonprofits? And I think that's probably the challenge that we all collectively need to
Yeah.
work together to,
Yeah.
to solve, is how do we keep that engine going, you know?
That's amazing. There's so many different things, but thank you, Chris, for because you can be on two sides of the equation. You can complain about our city and you can be negative or you can do something about it. And so many people are doing something about it each day as we do our part. And we're on different sides of the equation. Chris is over here in culture and community. We're over here in poverty and addiction and homelessness. But Chris, let me ask you this.
Yeah,
Modesto would be a stronger community if we did what?
all had a better attitude. I
Attitude.
mean, it is an attitude readjustment. It's
Like,
like it's like, come on,
how
it's that moonstruck, right? Snap out of it, right?
how simple is
How
that?
simple is it?
Attitude. Like, I will take attitude over competency any day of the week as an employer. You
You can teach skills, you can't teach attitude. And if whether it's your kids, your neighbors, your friends, the community at large, it's like, we can do this. There's something here worth fighting for. Look what Aaron Valencia did with the silos. Oh, building
yeah,
says, I'm going to do something absolutely nut job
yeah,
with this
no, yeah,
thing, and he did it. And I think people start to see that. And I think you can get up every morning and you can make two choices.
yeah,
I'm gonna have a crap day or I'm gonna have a good day.
yeah,
And even if my situation isn't great, it's like, what can I find here that moves me forward in a positive way? What kind
fantastic.
of reinforcement do I get from friends
Yeah,
or people in need or people asking for help,
yeah,
And I love where I live because I'm in kind of the middle of it.
yeah,
I love what Loma brings,
yeah,
and I love the mixture it brings. And I think having our cultures mix is so key, whether it's east side, west side. We need to embrace the lowrider communities. I think the more we blend all this stuff into this cool coffee or
yeah,
soup,
yeah,
right? We know west side blend, north side blend. Maybe we
yeah.
should do
No,
that.
yeah, absolutely.
Low and slow coffee from Valente. I mean, but I think when we embrace all that stuff, I think it makes it easier for people to reach across and say, all right, let's do something together.
It really
And
is.
those relationships are tough to foster.
Yeah,
And I think people like you and the mission
yeah,
have done a great job of saying, hey, let's take something challenging
yeah,
on and try to approach it not in a, hey, give me a handout here, but
Yeah.
help us. We'll create something that changes the community.
Yeah.
And you guys have done a fantastic job of that. I'm grateful for all you've done at the team here
Thank you,
for our
Chris. Yeah.
community. It's
Well,
really important.
Chris, thank you for being on the show. Thank you for listening to us as we talk about Modesto. Love any comments of how we can make Modesto better. And God bless you guys. And thank you, Chris, again.
Thanks. Have a great
Yep.
day, everybody.